right, my friends, we are here late again. Oh well, what you gonna do about it? What you gonna do? You gotta work with what you got. You gotta work with the time that you have. And it has been a busy day. So we have today a Longue Nebbiolo. 2018 Longue Nebbiolo from Scarzello. Scarzello. Now, what is Scarzello? Is a vineyard up in Barolo area. Now, this wine is from Longue, which is a little bit more towards the coast. I know, right? Way too fucking young. Way too young. I wasn't sure. The thing is, when I got this, okay, when I got this, I thought that we were working with something like a Longue. Longues are usually lighter and fruitier, can be drunk a lot earlier. But not this one, guys. This one's a bit harsh. So some of the notes on it. So that's cool. Yeah, 1986 would be amazing. I wish I had 1986. So the tannins are soft. I mean, you can tell this wine has a lot of potential to it, but it's really tight and needs to open. It's frankly just too young in general. Kind of tastes like you're chewing on green bark or something like that. It's really not the ideal, but it's opening up and I'm getting past it. It's not a bad wine. That's just the thing. It's like to understand when a wine isn't ripe for drinking. It's just the way to describe it is it's very green. It's very, very green. Like it's like you can't get the flavor out of it that you would normally want because all that you keep encountering is like if you're chewing on like a stem from a branch. So that's the notes on this. I mean, you got a lot of wood. There's a flavor in here that I don't really usually see with like a Nebbiolo. It's more of like a Pinot Noir kind of, or like even it's kind of things that you would get. It's not Pinot Noir. It's kind of things that you would get in Grenache and like in the south of France. It's just very simplistic fruitiness that is a little. I guess because of the heat in Longue, that maybe that's been doing some of it to it, but the wine's fine. But probably needs some more time to age. Probably need a little bit more time to age. So, guys, what we got today? You guys ready for this? We're gonna have a big freaking storm here. I have a question here. This is interesting. Yeah, see, look at this. All right, guys, I gotta tell you because I was getting a little bit unnerved here because usually when you have, I'm looking at this right now. The number of people I have on here are 6 or 7. Okay, now it's at 7. But if I actually click on it, we've got 12. And I was wondering about this because even though I'm late, usually there's a lot more people on these periscopes. So I wonder if there is some censoring going on here. Just how they've done censoring with the regular when it comes to likes. They can tell you how many people like stuff because I'm seeing more and more people join. Anyway, we got some interesting stuff going up. Now, we're going to avoid using certain terms because, well, I don't want to get censored any further. But the group that has been active for 2 years, 3 years at this point, almost 3 years at this point, and has become very active in the last 5-6 months, which comes before the letter R. That group, we're going to call it the R group. You guys are going to know what I'm talking about. They're censoring a lot of R accounts right now. It's become a very, very big thing. You don't see a Twitter option to watch my Periscope? me check that out real quick. That's very interesting. That's very interesting. That's like an integration they must have just broken. That makes a lot more sense. That makes a lot more sense. Because I was trying to figure that out. Periscopes, I mean, you're always getting minimum 20 people, usually more like 50. And we're looking at like 5 people. I'm like, guys, I know I was late, but come on, come on. So they must be trying to break it in all sorts of ways. It's very interesting. Well, you guys can watch the newcomers can watch the wine stuff later on, but because I already got through that. But we're going to jump into this. They are censoring the group known as R. We're going to call them R today. You guys know obviously who I'm talking about. And it's pretty serious. It's pretty serious. And I got to tell you, I have tons and tons of normies, tons and tons of normies who are talking about Q now as a result of this. I hear so much blackpilling about all these things. Like, stuff's getting bad. Of course it's going to get bad. Of course they're going to throw everything they have at us. Of course. But what makes you think they're going to win? I have to tell you, like, people who are like hardcore, opinionated, liberal Manhattan women, okay? This isn't some sort of like fringe centrist. We're talking about people who are way into all of that stuff, who are whatever they want, would always vote for the left. These people have friends, and they are bombarding my wife with stuff about Wayfair, stuff about all this child sex trafficking, and now about R, right? The R movement. They are way on board with it. Way on board with it. You got to understand that it's a war of attrition. As they try to pivot more and more and more through more bullshit. Now the new thing is that the masks are not going to be working very well to try to stop people from being able to vote in person and to make a justification to shut everything down even further. So they're constantly changing the narrative, and intelligent people are starting to realize that, wait a minute, these discrepancies don't make any sense. What is this thing? What is this thing? What is this thing? Why is this happening? And then they start to piece it together, and all you have to do is just get a single hole. You have to just like crack the propaganda visage once, and then everything is a rush through. Once they notice one thing is such a big discrepancy, then after that, there's no going back. Then they're down the rabbit hole. And then they start to look at everything. And maybe Trump might come last, right? It doesn't matter. Who cares about it with the message? And they start to see the inconsistencies with everything. So now, and they're banning a lot of them. And cool. I mean, this is just literally people now who I have been talking about this stuff to for months are now sending me this information. Now they're like aware of it as being something very legitimate. Yeah, exactly. Now people know it's the real deal. And this is the thing, guys. This is what Magenta Pixie talked about this months ago. But when they were dealing with their timeline thing, and they were Project Looking Glass, and they were looking at what are the outcomes, how can they prevent this? Everything that they did to try to stop it from happening only made it more likely to happen. They were caught in this. I think there's probably a term for it, but they were caught in this bind, because if you don't push against the disclosure, then everything's gonna be disclosed. But if you try to stop it, then it brings more awareness to it, and it makes it happen anyway. And there's no way to break it. There's no way to break it. But they are throwing everything they possibly have at it. Most of them are, certainly. But you're starting to see that there are people within the elite that are starting to come out and talk about, what's going on, starting to voice their dissension. You have Terry Crews trying to break a lot of the and if you know anything about Terry Crews's past, you know that he was certainly groomed into his position, and he was abused himself. I'm not sure how forthright he's been about the details of that, but he has talked a lot about how men at these when he would go to events, that men would basically try to use him for sex. I don't know if he actually ended up doing anything with it, but Terry, let's just say that they don't rise you up for nothing. It would not surprise me if he's had an incident. Remember, a lot of these people in Hollywood, they've had an incident, and they're only willing to cooperate. They're willing to not speak out to maintain their position, but they're not happy about it. They don't like it. They don't like the situation. Some disappear off the radar as much as they can, like Keanu Reeves. Some speak up, like Mel Gibson, and get really punished badly for it. But my guess, if I had to guess, I would say that some stuff Terry Crews had a little bit more than just a little bit of verbal sexual harassment happen to him. And he wasn't happy about it. And then you have people like Tony Robbins coming out now. Tony Robbins, I think, is pretty big because he was very keyed in with a lot of the motivational speaker groups, which were kind of sketchy. And he's been talking about how the COVID situation doesn't make any sense. That's another person speaking out, which is good. And you have obviously Kanye doing this stuff, but now there's a whole group of people in Hollywood who are starting to go out and produce their own films, who want to basically try to put out things that Hollywood has suppressed over the years. And that's going to be really exciting in the years ahead, because I know that we like to lump in organizations, but it's really that there is a certain percentage of people who dominate it. They're in positions of power, and most people are not willing or able to say anything without getting swatted down, and so they don't say anything. And which is why it's like, we got to just remove these a couple hundred names. If we get rid of these a couple hundred people, then everything sorts itself out. There's not really a culture war going on. There's not. What there is that we have people who, at this point, what we have, in the past, we had propaganda against propaganda. At this point, what we really have is people who are still under this cabal propaganda and people who have woken up, which is not like really a left or right thing. If you look at the people who are waking up, I mean, obviously the right has had a head start, but it's really quite a wide group of people at this point. And eventually we're all going to be on the same page, and we'll be able to have a healthy, constructive political conversation where we're talking about legitimate trade-offs. It's not this thing like as if the average American on the right wants to just dump shit into the environment, right? As if they want to pollute the waters, as if they want to pollute the planet. Like, it's a joke. It's a joke, but they're manipulated into supporting certain positions that were propping up wealthy oligarchs, and then the other hand was playing the left off of them and basically saying that, oh, you're destroying the environment, we hate you, blah, blah. And so you'd have regular neighbors who could pretty much agree on all the fundamentals going against each other. So once we clear out these bad actors, I mean, we really have a easy society to build off of. So, but yeah, so one of the little things that I wanted to mention actually with the celebrities that I found out recently was Chester Bennington. Do you guys know Chester Bennington from Linkin Park? You guys know him? Chester Bennington, Linkin Park. It's actually opening up a bit more. One of the things I was saying about the wine, I'll just show it for you new guys who came on. So it's a Longa Nebbiolo. Scarzello is a very traditional producer. So these wines take a lot longer to be drinkable. So I opened mine a little bit too early, but since it's even been airing just a bit, it's improved. It's the tannins are a bit softer. So Chester Bennington. Let's talk about Chester Bennington. So obviously Linkin Park's music was a bit dark, but it was good music. I liked it. I mean, I like Linkin Park's music, and actually, my wife really liked Linkin Park, and in particular Chester. And she actually, shit you not, this is a true story. I think it must have been in the summer of 2017. I think it was the summer of 2017. So the summer of 2017, we had tickets. We had tickets to Linkin Park. We had tickets to Linkin Park, and we had like front row tickets. We had like front row tickets. Okay, it was. She shelled out for it. She loved Linkin Park since she was a kid. Her and her sister. And like a week before the concert, he killed himself. He killed himself, which was devastating to her. I mean, she's not like some sort of, oh my God, popular music sort of obsessive girl. She didn't care about that stuff, but she really liked this band a lot. She really liked Chester a lot. She wanted to see it. I was the same way with Justin Timberlake. I mean, Justin Timberlake's like almost certainly CABAL. So, I mean, whatever. But I used to get that I look like him. So I was a big fan of Justin Timberlake. I could literally just dress up in a suit for Halloween and people be like, oh, you're Justin Timberlake. It's like, yep. And it's like, it's good. Anyway, the so looking at the stuff recently, and she's gone through the Fall Cabal video. I haven't done that yet, actually, to be honest. I haven't gone through the full Fall Cabal. I'll do it. But one of the things they mentioned there was Chester, and so I did a bit of digging around it because we're kind of red pilling her sister, and that was one of the things that she mentioned. They talk about Chester Bennington. So guys, here's the lowdown with him. Chester Bennington was, this is the theory, is that he was official news about Chester is that he was sexually abused repeatedly as a child, and that his father was a detective, and I don't know exactly, his mother may have been a social worker. What that kind of looks like to me is that he was planted with that family because it's a very strange dynamic. It's almost like a protective family dynamic. Like when I say protective, I don't mean even necessarily so much that they were really trying to protect him, because as the story goes, Chester came out to his father about this different abuse, and his father basically told him to like keep it to himself and not to talk about it. I mean, like a family that was sort of, hey, it's your responsibility to watch this kid, like kind of like a handler of sorts. But as the story goes, and if you look at side by side photos, I have to, sometimes I see like people put out photos. It's like, look, he's doing this, and you look at it, and it's like there's no indication that person's doing anything, but people like imagine things online. They'll put out like a photo saying, everything's changing, look at what's happening. It's like nothing's actually, there's nothing in the photo that at least I can see. I'm not an idiot. Maybe I'm missing something. But if you look at Chester Bennington and John Podesta side by side, though, the resemblance is remarkable. And on a regular, you could say, oh, well, whatever. People can look alike, but then you have to think about the fact that Linkin Park became this multi-million-dollar band, right? And you don't move forward in the music industry to that degree unless you've had some degree of help with it. Also, look at the logo, rather. Especially now, since Chester's died, the logo looks very much like the pedo symbol. If you go to Linkin Park on Twitter, look at Linkin Park's Twitter account, and look at it, and you can see that this sort of little circular triangle, is very much what the Linkin Park label has evolved into. It wasn't that close to it and with Chester. But so let's get to the point here. So if you look at Chester's music, it's all about this dark stuff, right? It's about all sorts of people stalking you, and you look at the music videos. Look at the music video for Paper Cut. So if you look at the music video for Paper Cut, you see a painting on the wall, which is like identical to the paintings at John Podesta's house. And he's basically talking about the abusers sort of following him wherever he goes. and how basically they're like you can't escape him no matter what he does. And they really emphasize this painting, which is really eerie. And the other cross scene that they show is basically this warehouse where it looks like there's been all sorts of torture going on. And so Chester was very much involved with this stuff. And so, from what I've heard, Chester and Chris Cornell, right? So, this was the story is that Chester killed himself on Chris Cornell's birthday by hanging, of course, right? Hanging, as did Chris Cornell, hanging. And hanging is a very symbolic thing for the cabal. And by the way, guys, you can talk about like Chester obviously talked about some pretty dark things, but by all accounts, he was actually past all of his addictions. And he had a really good, like, he has a really close relationship with his wife, and he had a lot of kids, and he was very, very loving to his family. You know, I didn't say at the time that it was impossible to believe that he killed himself after, you know, as a result of Chris Cornell, because that was the whole thing. You know, it was like his best friend. But he didn't seem like the kind of person who was alienated enough and that he hadn't, like, he had done enough work at that point in his career that it, it was very surprising that he would do it. Let's put it that way. It was very surprising that he would kill himself. But here's the thing, Chris Cornell and Chester were working on a documentary exposing pedophilia. And the reason him and Chris Cornell were very close is because they had both been abused. Chris Cornell's song, oh God, I'm sorry, guys, I forget the name of the song, but I looked at the lyrics. It's actually one of his more famous songs in the band he was in. It's like 1991. I know this. The song was from 1991. And he's basically talking about Epstein's Island. And he's talking about how he doesn't feel any pain. He doesn't like he doesn't want to eat off of other people's pain, basically. And he's talking about it. If you look at the lyrics of the song, and the song is one of those songs where you don't pay attention to the lyrics, you pay attention to the sound. But if you listen to the lyrics, you actually see that he is basically talking about sacrifice and sacrificing other people to gain for yourself and how he doesn't want to do that. So they were working together to expose it, and they both were killed. And there's a psychic. She's a weird looking woman. And I have no way of I would not consider myself a fan at all. I don't really follow her work. But she did have a channel on this. I can't recall, Andrew. I can't recall. I'm not good with names and these things. I remember in the music video, he's like walking on the beach, and it's kind of like an abandoned beach, and he's walking by himself, if that helps. But yeah, basically, uh, yeah, I mean, I think I just lost my train right there, but it's, yeah, they were taken out, basically. They were taken out, and because they were going to expose it. They're going to expose it. So there's a lot of this. Oh yeah, the psychic woman I was talking about. That's right. Losing my train of thought here. Psychic woman, she has psychic. And so you would think, if anything, she'd be controlled opposition based on her platform. I mean, she'd work with a lot of famous people, but she was actually saying that he didn't kill himself, and he was really angry about being killed. She was saying this, and she kind of visited him, and she said that he was much more bold, and Chris Cornell was more worried because I guess his family wasn't as protected. This is the kind of stuff that she was saying. You can look at this stuff up. But I have to tell you, look at Podesta and Chester Bennington next to each other, and then really pay attention to Linkin Park lyrics and see if it does not make some sort of connection for you. And watch the paper cut, watch that music video, and look at that paint on the wall, and then look at Podesta's painting. It's very interesting. It's very interesting. Okay. Well, we have the New Jersey judge, Esther Salas, who husband was shot, son killed. She had to hide in the basement. She's the judge for a case that's a class action, I guess, against Epstein and Deutsche Bank. and a FedEx guy came to the house and was actually a shooter, shot him up, then killed himself. And of course, they're saying that this guy was like a red pill guy. Meanwhile, like one of the big red pill attorneys was just killed recently. So it's kind of interesting. They're going to do a lot more of this, like R, right? They're going to have people who are going to go out there and shoot things up, and they're going to say, this is R. R did this, right? This is an R radical activist. Like when my friends and I talked about this a couple months ago, and he was like, isn't R like some sort of conspiracy thing? Like some like really like, and he was like, oh, what is that? You know, is that like on the right and everything? And I'm like, this is not like, this is not right wing. Like anybody who calls R right wing probably should use a different letter than R, right? Anyone who calls R right wing, it's like ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's like you have like rando boomer grandmas and stuff, and it spans the spectrum. Like you could make arguments about a lot of things being right wing, and they wouldn't be good. But trying to make R into one is really not good. Really does not work. So yeah. Now what other things do we have here? We have Matthew Borges, Trump, Never Trump Super PAC, right? He was working with Speaker of the House Boehner. Just got indicted for like $60 million bribery charges. There's a lot more to that than meets the eye, of course. There's a lot of that going on. We have a couple of through the rabbit hole things with Trump talking about Pizzagate back in 2011 in an interview with Piers Morgan. You can look that up. He's talking about Pizzagate back in 2011. Back in 2011, Trump was talking about Pizzagate with Piers Morgan. How is that possible? Unless Project Looking Glass, right? These are all things. These are all things that he must have been clued in on earlier to this. Crazy. And then you have him in 2015 talking about Epstein's Island, which had not yet come to anybody's consciousness, right? Now, to be fair with that, you could have said it was maybe you didn't need like Project Looking Glass to know that. You could have had some inside info because there had been a lawsuit about Epstein. So maybe no one talked about it or knew about it on a public level, but Trump knew. But the point is that a lot of things, there's a lot of interviews from the past that if you listen to them, Trump saying random things that don't make sense at the time in the future turn out to be predictive. So what else we got? We've got Trump tweets something and then R drops something on 4chan or 8kun, right? 8kun. 4chan, right? I actually have never looked at 4chan and I don't want to. I think it's actually a toxic place. But I do like the screenshots occasionally. There's some funny screenshots. But I feel like I'd go schizophrenic if I had to go on one of those boards. I mean, it's too much. So Trump tweets something and then R drops on 8kun 3 seconds later referencing Trump's tweet. So we know that he's obviously involved, or again, they have a very clear idea. The tweets are timed at specific times so that this stuff is going to be known about. Then what else do we have here? We have Orange County, Florida, right? The whole COVID thing, CDC person, they're asking these 2 people under 60 who were killed from COVID. And they ask on the call, what was how did the first one die, right? He had COVID. How did he die? They say, well, actually, he died of a motorcycle accident. So that's been actually waking a lot of people up, guys. Don't underestimate the role of COVID in waking people up, because a lot of regular people who are just seeing this as bullshit, especially more independent-minded people who would not necessarily be on the left or not necessarily be on the right. They're not very happy about the restrictions. They can see the inconsistencies. They don't like to be controlled. So let's see what else here. I think that the main other thing. So we have, main other thing here I want to talk about. Yeah, they're getting eaten alive in the community Facebook group. People are really waking up. I mean, I don't know how. Oh, guys, I might have a rainstorm pretty soon here. So this could get pretty rough. So I'm going to close this up as much as I can at the moment. Yeah, look at this. Look at this sucker moving in. You can feel the pressure change, though. That's how you really know. You can see a cloud. But when you feel that pressure change, man, it did just get a lot darker. Okay. Kamala Harris, right? Kamala Harris, different face. Oh my God. Pressure's changing. Kamala Harris, different face. Ask the question. What contingencies should we expect as Trump succeeds? Well, as Trump and the rest of the team succeeds, I really think that it's going to get very bad in the fall. We actually have a reprieve right now. The next 6 weeks, I think, are going to be relatively good. 6 to 7 weeks are going to be relatively good. We're going to have it's going to be a little bit chiller. It's the calm before the storm. I mean like the epicenter, right? When we're hitting the eye wall. The second half of September, most of September, and particularly October, we're going to have like a solid 2-month span of really, really bad stuff happening. I think that you're going to see, I really like, I'm going to say it, I think you're going to see assassinations of figures. They're already trying it with Tucker Carlson, right? They were trying to reveal his address. You are going to have to, if you're a Republican anyway, you're going to have to protect yourself and get through this. They are going to unleash every asset they have left because once Trump is reelected, they know it's over. Trump isn't doing it now. This is my thought. So you must be East Coast too. Yeah. I mean, it's going to rain in the next 5 minutes. Like, look at how much darker the screen's gotten. So I'm going to try to wrap it up. The wind is getting crazy at the moment. I love this stuff, though. Look at this. Yeah, Ohio. Okay, so well, that's interesting because I would have thought you would have already hit it. But yeah, guys, I mean, it's gonna get worse before it gets better. It's gonna get worse. They have to unleash everything they have left. They have, and I don't think that Trump has disclosed everything yet because you have to break them. They have to get broken. If they're not broken, there is no way to move it forward. And I think that the problem is that if Trump and I was thinking that more would be released before the election and other stuff after the election. And I'm realizing now that there will be some big drops before the election, but we're not going to get like the resolution, the catharsis until afterwards. We're not even going to really get that until early 2021. Like between January, like that sort of January through March period of 2021 is going to be when you're going to have a lot of the full revelations start to come out. And wouldn't be surprised if there's more disclosures after, but I mean, that's when we're going to start to have everybody on the same page, although people are going to be very disoriented. But through November, people are going to be pissed off. And the election creates a polarization. And we are just simply going to have to get through it. That's the only way I can put it. We're going to have to get through this polarization. They're not going to, you could put evidence of everything out there, but if there's a chance that they could beat Trump, the propaganda will keep working. Once Trump is like there and they can't fight against him anymore, there's going to be this sense of like release. Like, we're done. We surrender. It's really like that. It's like we surrender. I think that you're going to see a mass surrendering of people to the propaganda after the election because his victory is going to be decisive, guys. It's not going to be a close victory. It's going to be a decisive victory. Okay, I would not be surprised if we're talking about states like Minnesota going red. It's going to be so decisive that people who have hated Trump are going to have to ask themselves, what's going on here? Maybe I just give up. They're just going to say, I give up. And this is when we're going to have to be very kind to them and embrace as many as we possibly can. because a lot of them are triggered by him due to other psychological reasons and due to the programming. I've talked about it before. But yeah, we have a lot to expect. Yeah, I mean, he's wishing her well because that's like an implication that she could get nexted if she isn't taken care of. Yeah, they keep giving them some dissonance belief, but they're also creating more dissonance at the same time. I mean, now we have this situation where Trump has been using officers, and people will talk about it like it's a secret police. I mean, come on, come on. These are first off, there's plenty of legalese that you can use to justify what's going on because they're attacking federal property. Okay, even aside from just the general like, oh, I can be lawless for 2 months. And then you can't stop me. You can't stop me. Oh, you stupid constitutionalist. You hate you think that you like whatever. Like they're mocking us. And then you have a government agency go and arrest these people, sweep them off the streets, and people are like, this is against the Constitution. It's like it's hysteria. It's hysteria. But it's also propaganda. They're pushing that out there. The truth is that nothing that Trump's been doing is illegal. I mean, he let them for almost 2 months go out there. They've been monitored the entire time. And he has perfect jurisdiction to protect federal property. So there's plenty of legal reasoning for it. But let's get to the bigger point here, which is that do you think that the average person in America sees terrorists occupying the centers of American cities and then seeing the mayors do nothing about it? Do you think that they are upset? Really? Do you think that most of them are upset? Obviously, some people can be like ridiculous about this, but do you think that most people are really upset about that? They want him out. But here's the thing, you push them into a polarization. So now the left says, the Democrats, I think it's better to say, the Democrats say that, oh, well, you did this, like you're like we should be able to have more people in the cities protesting, basically. Like they put him in a position where trying to maintain any semblance of order in a city is fascist, which really, because it's like Trump is a fascist. So if Trump is stopping the cities from being burned down, they're against that. That's not going to fly with regular people. And a lot of them are speaking up about it to their credit. I mean, those of us who went through 2016, we were against an onslaught. I mean, there were Americans, regular Americans who supported Trump, but they weren't as vocal about it. We were under an onslaught, and we still won the election. But in 2020, man, you got so many regular Americans, people who didn't vote for Trump, people who they are speaking out big time. The election is going to be an easy win in the end, but we are going to have to face an extreme amount of hysteria. And I really think there's going to be violence. I think that you're going to see terror attacks in cities. I think you're going to see targeted assassinations, or at least assassination attempts. But it's going to be messy. It's going to be messy. They are all assets deployed because after the election, they have no hope. They have absolutely no hope. Well, I heard something about this, that the cabal, that they have a clone of Trump and they're going to, I don't believe this at all. I think it's silly. Not speaking specifically about the clones being silly, because I think after the Kamala Harris thing, people are starting to question this because like she doesn't look at all like Kamala Harris. So maybe there's at least a body double, or there's at least a mask people are wearing, But I think Trump is protected. I think Trump's protected. And I don't know how to really explain this in a way that's logical, but you can just sense when someone's protected or not. He has not only the best physical protection, but also you can make the argument about quantum computing and all threats being anticipated beforehand. But I think that there's also energetic protection. I mean, Melania, there's some weird stuff with her. Let's just say that she's not your regular girl. Put it that way. She's not your regular girl. He chose her for a reason, not just because she was an attractive young model. I don't. There was something very different about their relationship. So we got that. Yeah, I mean, personally, I feel protected too. I don't feel like I have to worry about that. But I do think some people need to worry about it, because I didn't always feel protected, but now I feel protected, and it's like a sense that, you know, you also know that you don't go to certain levels, like, but you have a protective area that if you stay in that protective area, then you can't be harmed. It doesn't mean you can abuse it. Yeah, I think she is an alien. I mean, that's why I think that she's an alien. Yeah, I think that she's a Pleiadian. Narcissistic personality disorder? No, not at all. Not at all. I think that that's just the persona. I mean, you can't build coalitions like this if you have MPD. It's just impossible. So even if what we see on the surface is what is all people are trying to judge off of, you have to judge also based on just. You can't build a coalition to this level if you have MPD. You can't do it unless you have. Yeah, I just don't. Yeah, I just don't see it. So yeah, I mean, I guess we can talk a little bit more about Kamala Harris and the clone thing, but who knows with that? We're gonna see. Truth can be stranger than fiction, guys. Truth can be stranger than fiction. Thanks for joining. I'll see you later.